Got to be very careful coming down this pathway because, well, obviously you can see we've had snow and now we're getting freezing rain, and it's making these paths a little bit slippery. But I want to show you something. I'm going to look down towards the gateway, because this is a great comparison between here in southern Hungary and the UK. Now, if we look down there, go through the gateway and beyond, and the other night we saw this. And so the tractor got to the gateway, and then he drove up here, came all the way up to this point here. And this is what he looked like in the dark the other night. So as the picture shows, we've had a bit of snow. We've had temperatures down to -16. Now we're going to go for a little bit of a walk around, because when you get snow like this, you get to see what's going on in your land. Now that tractor came from the local council, and I'm also looking at all the footprints in the snow because I want to know what animals we've had in here. Anyway, back to the local council and the tractor. My council tax here is less than £30 a year. And that local council tractor came and ploughed all the way through the village, out to here, along the roadway there, and then up my driveway and up my neighbour's driveway to allow everybody to get to work. 30 quid council tax a year. I know some people paying £1,600 and more, and I don't think they get that service. Anyway, looking at this ground here, I've got a lot of animal footprints, and I'm curious to know where they go. You can also make out, if I do that, that's the depth of the snow we've had. And also we've had some drifting. So what are these footprints? Well, I've got a mixture of the two. They're not Jack the cat. They are rabbits, because I've had to keep the gates open. Now here they call them rabbits, and we know them as hares. And there are some over in the distance there that you might be able to make out. If we can zoom in, but they come in here at night, and they're running up through the veggie garden, and they're all the way through here. Let's have a wander up. That's the back of the greenhouse. which we finished in the middle of summer last year. Got a lot of ideas for that this coming growing season, and we'll come back to that in another video. But I am happy with the way that the roof itself has withstood the weight of all the snow that we've had. So I'm very chuffed about that. And if we look a bit closer here, look. More animals. As well as the hares, we've had quite a few pheasants in here as well. They also say don't eat yellow snow. Now, I've recently been talking about our new gardening app called Your Growing Companion. And one of the key features of it is the ability to be able to observe what's going on in our growing spaces. And having all this snow gives me such a great opportunity just to see what's happening. So apart from all the footprints I've got, let's have a look at the compost areas. You're not going to really recognise most of this, but this is the main bay. And this was full back in October. Up to this level. It's dropped down quite considerably. I'm looking around for something I could perhaps use to... that's cold. I don't really want to put my hands in there. It's cold and icy, but let's give it a go. Wow. So that hole there is how much snow I've got on top of that. Anyway, underneath this snow is the polystyrene boards. Looks like I've had a cat through here. There's one of the Daleks. This footprints there of what looks like a pheasant. Where's he gone? Flying off by the looks of it. But this is all the leaves I had delivered in the autumn, again from the local council. I wonder what's been in there. This is another compost area. It's got finished compost in that I'm ready to use when I want to. And something's been in there. I wonder what that is. Anyhow, let's crack on. As we come around the other side of this, some more yellow snow here. So there's an animal that's been here. I would say that's a cat. Might well be Jack scenting. And I've got some more pallets ready to expand this growing space. But if you look here, look, you can see the leaves from the autumn that I've got in there. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be mixing that with, do you remember all that sheep manure I had delivered? Well, there's one pile of it there, absolutely covered. Which again is quite good for me because it was pretty dry. So when that snow melts, I'm going to be able to get that into these new bays and mix it with the leaves. Job for the spring. You can also make out all the weed growth here and the seed heads, which have been giving food to the greenfinches and the goldfinches that we get here. I've been going through a huge amount of birdseed for the feeders on the front of the house. It doesn't take long for it to go. But with all this white, you can start to pick out certain things that you don't normally see during the summer. And these what look like sticks are elder trees that I planted in the autumn. Be interesting to see how they crack on. Now as we go up into the veggie patch, I've not been up here yet, but again, loads of footprints of animals. Quite sure what I've got. Looks very much like a cat. But I do know that the hares have been running around through here. And obviously they're going to be looking for things to eat. Now I've got one, two, three, four things in the ground still that maybe we were going to use during the winter. And we haven't. Now winter's here in Hungary. the air here is completely different to what I'm used to in the UK. It's very dry. So when it gets cold, it gets cold. I'm just scanning across all these bays here. These are all the beds that I mulched with the organic matter at the beginning of autumn. And somewhere in there, I've got garlic growing and carrots. Anyway, it can get cold here in the winter. So what do I do as far as heating is concerned? Well, if you look back towards the house, you'll see the smoke coming out of our chimney there. And our main form of heating is wood from the wood burner. Every time I see snow, wherever I am in the world, I always come out and look at my roof. And that's basically because if I've got a nice warm house and there's no snow on the roof, telling me that I've got insulation problems. Now inside the house it's about 23 degrees Celsius as an average. Out here currently today it's -2, maybe 3-ish. But that roof is still covered in snow, so I'm happy that our insulation works. And the same can be said for the office building beyond the shed there. And the wood costs me, on average, around about £1,000 a year. Now, in my old house, I used to burn oil for central heating, and I'll be paying a lot more than that. Now, I'm trying to work out where my paths are, because I can't see them, because I want to go up to the top. I think I'm going to go that way, and behind those trees, and then I know where I'm going. So as well as the council tax being 30 quid, and my heating bill being 50% less on average than the UK, and I'm really not worried about burning in it too much wood, because we never do. Crikey, it's deep up here. Good workout. Whoosh. You can see all the seed heads. Good food source for the birdies. Yeah, energy costs here are a lot less. Now, winter, like I say, is a great test, not only to observe your garden, but also how you survive the winter months. There goes a hare. So as well as wood, we don't have main supply gas here, as I may have mentioned before. We use a lot of electricity. And once a year, now this is intriguing. That, to me, it looks like blood. Now what could that be? Is it blood, or is it a rotting tomato? Let me know what you think it could be. Well, there's more of that here. So something has been devoured, I would say. Yeah. We do get a lot of sparrowhawks here. So maybe that's what that is. Can't see any feathers. Yeah. Anyway, electricity. Again, comparing to what I would have paid in the UK, I would have been paying this year around about £1,500 for the year. And here, you get an electricity meter reading in the November, and they send you a bill for your 12 months. But we pay ours monthly because I do a meter reading every month, so we don't get a huge bill at the end of it all. Now, having said that, our bill for the last 12 months was £600. £600. That's all. So, whilst coming into this place, that's come down for some reason, don't know why. Whilst we moved here in the summer, we wanted to know, you always want to know what it's like in the winter, because that's when the hard work is. It's all very well saying, oh, it's 42 degrees Celsius. Plenty of footprints down here as we look down towards the orchard. Yeah, summer you don't use so much, do you? Because it's too hot. But in the winter, you know, you're using a fair bit. Which way do I go now? So, I'll go down this grass line here. So the yearly bill, 600 quid for the electric, 30 quid or less for the council tax. So it shows you just how much cheaper it is to be here. Now, another weird thing I noticed recently is a few months back I did a video on how much it cost me to buy this place here. I think I did another one about renovation costs and all that kind of thing. And the weird thing I've noticed, I'm still trying to figure out whether I can go down there or not. Somewhere in here I've got winter carrots, and somewhere around there I've got the garlic. So when this thaws out, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like. I'm tempted to go down there, but I'm not going to. Anyway, as I was saying, those two videos have suddenly got an awful lot of, I'm going to walk down here, an awful lot of people viewing them. And it seemed to happen just after Rachel Reeves did her budget. And I'm talking to a lot more people now who are saying they're fed up with living in the UK. Now, I'm not saying the UK is a crappy place to live. Not what I'm saying. Each to their own. But what I am saying to you is that if you want to find out if it's a viable thing to do, don't do it as a holiday decision when you've come out and think, oh, this looks nice. Do it when it's like this. Minus 16. And then you can decide for yourself whether it's something you want to do. Because it's not easy. Language barrier for me is not a problem. Translation service is getting better and better. Cost of living, as I've just been talking about, is a lot cheaper here. We've already spoken in the past about car insurance and the like. Some things are about the same. But generally speaking, if I've got a guy driving his tractor up my driveway, clearing my snow out of the way so we can get out, and either, as the lady of the house goes off to do a job as a teacher in the local schools, or I've got to go into the village, that's costing me 30 quid a year. You know, what's not to like? So we're back on our icy path again. I'll link that video about how much it cost me to move here. But that's the front of the greenhouse. These are all additions to this place since being here, and we've been here, came here in 2020. I just want to show you something very interesting. Well, to me it's interesting. In the greenhouse, you can see how deep the snow's been. This is where I'm feeding the birds. It's quite messy. But in the greenhouse here, we've had minus 16, yeah? Oh, let's have a look at my thermometer. So, the lowest it's been, minus 2. It's currently 3.7 degrees Celsius. And it's minus 2 outside. I've got a lot of plants in here. It was tempting to come out here and tap the roof to see if the snow would slide off, but I resisted. I did touch the polycarbonate and it felt like glass. That's why I didn't give it a tap. So hopefully over the next few days, this is all going to thaw out and I can start seeing just how much damage the snow has caused. Now, I mentioned Your Growing Companion, the app we built, and I could add a task in there to say clear the snow, but I think I don't really need a reminder to do that, do you? Anyway, hopefully in the next few days this will all go and we'll see what we end up with. Now, I've been putting food out there and I've got a great crested lark there, and they follow me in the vegetable garden during the spring and summer months. So I'm quite happy to see him trotting about. So like I said, I'll link that other video about how we bought this place. Have a look. And you never know, you might decide to be as crazy as me and do something like this. But, you know, as I've mentioned before, I've got Starlink here for the internet provision. It cost me less than it would do if I was still in the UK paying BT. Allows me to do all the work that I do, make these videos, do my writing, do my research, build the app, look after people. I'd struggle in the UK doing all of that. And apart from anything else, I love it here. It's great. Even if it is a bit nippy. But the smoke from that chimney is cooling me inside because I know it's nice and warm. I'll catch up with you very soon.